Someone has to explain this Analogue N64 to me because it's very hyped. People have been talking about it at the studio, and I don't know why it's so hyped. So someone please explain what this is.
Back when we had childhoods.
Yeah. Have you heard of nostalgia?
I'm aware of the
It
concept.
sells very well.
It does. So Analog made the Pocket, which was like a Game Boy, but like modernized. That's my best
Much
interpretation.
bigger, brighter screen. You could play games off of a micro SD card, so you could play ROMs on it. It was like a pocketable.
But what they did was cool was you could still play if you had your old Game Boy cartridges.
Yeah, am I
still
imagining that? So you can put an old cartridge in the new thing and it works. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this like a Nintendo 64, but the same thing?
So, what's ironic about this, even Nintendo is bad at emulating Nintendo 64 games because it's very difficult to emulate them. But there's this technology called FPGAs that's been getting very popular recently that allows you to directly emulate it. Like it's basically emulating the hardware instead of just emulating it in code. And so that's what Analogue is doing. So people have had trouble making M64 emulators for like a while, or getting them to run at a good frame rate without any glitches. Because even Nintendo on the Nintendo Switch has, if you have Switch Plus,
the one online one, you can play like
Switch
old
Online,
games.
you can play Nintendo 64 games, but a lot of them like aren't really up to snuff with the original. Analog is now making a modernized N64.
It's very. They haven't announced much. They just said it's an N64. It's coming out in 2024, and it will have 4K resolution, which feels kind of wild because if it's just the same games. But if it's just like, imagine playing like Wave Runner or Mario 64 just in 4K. It's just like, but it's still just
blocks.
Blocks. Yeah, it's just bigger
4K
blocks, 4K
with
blocks.
textures and ray tracing. Is there a price? Did they say any?
No. There's barely even a picture. It's just like enough of the side of the console to know what it is. But did you ever play the N64?
No. I don't think I've ever even
Ocarina of Time,
known anyone.
the greatest game of all time.
No, I've never. I don't think I've played an N64.
Yeah.
Unless we did one for RetroTech and I'm forgetting. I don't think I've ever even touched
It's not
an
retro
N64.
enough to be on RetroTech, I don't think.
I hope it's not.
no,
If
it
it
is.
is, I'm going to be real sad.
It's super retro, but it's not like the original game console. You know?
Fair, but we had a Sega Genesis, and that wasn't
Yeah,
originally.
but Genesis and NES are around the same generation, right? Or no, is Genesis around N64 time?
I thought it was.
Maybe it is.
I literally.
I think
have
it's
no
a
idea.
little before. I'm trying to imagine.
I'm sorry.
In my
Please don't yell at me.
someone's gonna get very
Don't
upset.
cancel me.
I remember playing the Genesis at my cousin's, but I believe it was pretty old or it was older at that point. And then I remember a friend getting the N64. I think it was 96 when the 64 came out.
Yeah.
Nailed it. 96.
Sega released the Genesis in '89 in Japan.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
88
so
in Japan.
Yes, that's more NES territory.
Okay.
But the Nintendo 64 was the first 64-bit console, which allowed for 3D
Didn't know
games
that.
and that kind of stuff.
Embarrassed to not know that.
That's
Makes
what I
sense.
do remember from RetroTech.
But a ton of insanely legendary games came out. Super Mario 64, legendary.
Yeah.
Super Smash Bros, the first one ever, legendary.
Earthworm Jim.
Earthworm Jim, legendary. Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, considered the best Zelda games of all time by me.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye.
Earthworm Jim just sent me down a whole rabbit hole in my head that I
Yeah,
didn't
just
know
make
was
that
there.
I did not make that up.
That is a
Have you ever seen him?
no. I've definitely never seen Earthworm Jim.
Let's pull up Earthworm Jim.
What?
Was this even
How
in
would you
64 or
describe-
was this in?
How do you
So
describe
was-
how he looks like, Marquez?
It's a worm in a muscle suit. I don't know.
That's right.
Weird.
It's funny because
Like
I
if
think
he had
that,
anchor arms.
I think this may have been out before N64. I feel like
You might be right.
I don't even think this is who I'm thinking of. Does
Do you
anyone
think
remember?
like Battle Worms or whatever?
No, do you remember there was like this
Worms.
Clay Fighter game on the N64 that was like horrible? Yeah, it was called Clay Fighter 63 and a third, and it was the most unhinged game. Oh no, it had Earthworm Jim in it. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what.
With her
It was like
by Earthworm.
It was like fighting. Why is this game $44?
Yeah. Well, so okay.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, honestly,
Bingo.
my sister and I had this NHL hockey game that you could play hockey, but you could also beat each other up.
NHL hits.
I think it was called like NHL 64.
I mean,
Okay.
to be fair, that's like 45% of hockey.
Yeah.
No, hey.
But you could kick
55,
and punch
sorry.
while you were playing the actual hockey game, and if you did it enough, it would set you into this arena where it was just a fighting game,
Nice.
and then it would go back
That's
to the
really
hockey.
funny. It's just a boxing game inside of a hockey game.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
how much do you think this thing is going to cost? That's my. If you're guessing,
Money.com.
How much is the Pocket?
The
Nano?
Pocket is $219.
Ooh, then the N64 is probably going to be.
It's probably gonna be 300.
I'm very interested in the controller too. Which
I think that they teased the controller.
did they?
With
I
a
missed
shadow.
that. I want to see. Do you know what the controller looks like, Marquez? It is like an iconic controller.
no.
Can you try and draw it for me?
You want me to attempt
It's
it?
a very wild controller. So I would like to, and audio listeners, we will describe what he is drawing here, but it is not your average controller. I'm sure you've seen it, and when you see it,
Is it the one that's kind of like this, and kind of like that, and has like
I feel like you were going kind of.
like
Can you put the
that?
buttons on?
maybe one of these, maybe.
Oh, there we go.
One of these.
You barely see anything.
Oh, okay.
It kind of looks like a Switch Pro controller. At
It,
least
it
from
would
the
fit on that
shadow.
side where the C buttons
Yeah.
are. Or were those called C buttons back then?
The C stick
I don't know. This is
was not on this. Yeah, C buttons.
that looks
Am I
like
wrong?
an
That-
ocarina.
I think that's the Sega Genesis controllers like that.
Oh, whoops. I truly have no clue.
okay.
Or the Sega Genesis console is shaped like that. One of the two.
Oh,
Well, Marquez drew.
I drew one where the one handle was way bigger than the other one. Is that what
You're
looking
in
for?
the right ballpark.
If you added one more handle,
yeah. Have you seen this?
can you describe this now from what you think it looks like?
Oh, it's 3 handles
Yeah. Because we have 3 hands on
with it. Okay,
I want to know the guy that designed it.
this. It's a pretty infamous controller because
I can see why.
it's kind of a terrible design.
Can you?
Yeah, it's iconic.
It is iconic.
How would you hold that?
Because it's memorable. I would hold it just like that, just like
That's
one hand
I've-
on each side.
I've never held it like
you
that.
You
ever.
hold it with
You hold it-
you grip the center
yeah.
one so you can move
With
it
your
with your
left
thumb.
hand, yeah.
Oh, if your game requires the D-pad or whatever the
Yeah.
joystick, then
The
you're
D-pad was usually like easier, like item selects or stuff like
Yeah.
that, where like you could go off the controller.
And there was a Z button on the back that you could hit with your
Oh yeah. There's a trigger underneath.
underneath.
Are we off the rails? Is this
No,
what's going on anymore?
this is
Gamer talk.
no. Now we get to put an N64 controller in the thumbnail and get the greatest CTR possible.
Fair.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right.
yeah. So nostalgia.
Exactly.
sells.
Speaking of nostalgia, they are also releasing another Analog Pocket in all the clear colors.
They
that
already
Poc-
released it.
They released
and
it
it
already?
sold out within like 3 minutes.
I
not
was going to say,
surprised.
how have they not done that already? That's
Yeah.
what I
Well,
pictured every Game Boy to be.
because the first
Yeah.
one took forever to
It was a
come out.
bummer.
Anyways.
They did extremely limited quantities, and they put like a day and time that it would happen, and then within like 2 minutes it was sold out.
I
So-
know that
You can
this
buy
is
them
a
on eBay for twice the
smaller
price now.
company, but like, make more. You know that thing's gonna sell.
Yeah,
Part of the fun is
How?
not being able to get one.
they've done
Is
a lot
it?
of limited ones. Like they did like this glow in the dark version of the Analog
It looks
Pocket.
sick.
That's like a gray, but it glows green in the dark. Yeah, I don't know.
The like, purple. God, man, the purple
Yeah, the clear
transparent.
purple, translucent purple is
so
legendary.
good.
Legendary.
Nostalgia noise.
I had
green
that
one
Game
was
Boy
sick.
Color.
I had this Game Boy Color too. It was
Nice.
the best. Well, it's kind of like the default color one.
Sort of, yeah. They also had gray and blue and and they had a solid purple.
Hey
as well.
guys.
All right, sorry. All right. That was
Anyway,
I'm sure there are people reminiscing with us right now.
guys, this is a new
Comment
tech
your-
podcast.
comment
No,
your-
no more old tech.
Yeah, but
We're
this is
going
new old tech.
We're going new tech. Hey, thanks for watching this clip. I just want you to know that we are beta testing a new engagement feature. You know how on Twitter, if you use a certain hashtag, the like button does a certain animation? We're testing one where we're going to try to get our like button to have a certain special animation and our subscribe button to have a special animation. They should also, at some point, start glowing when I say the words like and subscribe. And then you get a special award for hitting them. Let me know if they work.
like, subscribe, like, subscribe, like, subscribe, like, subscribe, like,
Subscribe.
like, subscribe, like,
Subscribe.
subscribe, like.
Subscribe.
Would you like subscribe?
Would you like to subscribe?
Would you subscribe to like
Isn't there also something where you comment
This
and it
channel?
spins around in a circle?
it's supposed to rotate?
Rotates.
The comments
The
rotate.
comment rotates.
Thanks for commenting.
I was really hoping it would do that.
It's-
on the Z axis.
It's rotating now.